Stick around, I'm gonna teach you how to study smarter. Hola, bienvenido! This video is going to be a little bit different than the other ones, and we're going to talk about a more broad subject, which is how to study better or to study smarter versus study more or study faster. These are all facts that will help you study in a more effective way. Let's take a look at them. Okay, the first one is my favorite one, that when I was in medical school I used to study this way all the time, and it is study in shorter periods instead of pulling off an all-nighter or sitting down for long hours every day to study. What I used to do was I would study for 2 hours and then I take a break. That break would involve either a walk around the block even, or go to a gym for an hour, or even take a nap for 20 minutes, sometimes go to bed for 4 hours and then wake up and keep studying, depending on how much I had procrastinated, to be perfectly honest, and how close I was to my final. But yeah, the break could even be putting your pencils down, go for a cup of tea, have a snack, and then come back. But just have the thing that will break your study session. That break will give you the time for information to sink in, for questions and doubts to arise, so you can come back and clear them out and really think about what you just studied, instead of trying to put a lot of information in your brain in a really short time and then keep that. Sit down 2 hours at a time, even 20 minutes at a time, depending on what you're studying. If you're studying things like maths or physics that require you to actually do exercises, set a number of exercises that you need to do per session instead of going through the whole workbook or the whole homework that you have. My second tip to study smarter versus study longer is to get enough sleep. And yes, I know that it sounds pretty obvious, but memory consolidates while we're sleeping. We need to go into the deep sleep cycles in order for memories to be formed. So if you're not sleeping enough, if you're not getting deep into your sleep cycles, then you will have a lower chance of really absorbing that information that you're trying to learn. So make sure you're getting all 8 hours. Studies have shown that even getting 6 hours really affect your behavior, your cognitive mind, and your memory. So make sure you're getting all 8 hours a day and you'll notice a big difference. The third one goes hand in hand with getting enough sleep, and it is eat enough carbs. And I know that it could be controversial. There's so many diets out there. Don't even get me started. They're just so ridiculous. The keto diet, the paleo diet that focus on protein or fats instead of carbs, and they just ditch carbs. At least the keto does ditch most carbs. It just, your brain needs glucose. No way around it. You won't get glucose from fat or protein, not in a healthy, sustainable way at least. The body does have ways of turning those nutrients into glucose, but it's not sustainable over time. It's not healthy. So many studies have proven that. So get your carbs, get your slice of bread, get your cereal, get your carbs, get your fruit, and you'll notice an improvement in your memory, in your ability or capacity to learn, in your speed to learn things. It just, trust me, eat your carbs. Have a cupcake in between study sessions. Don't overdo it, maybe once a week, but get your carbs. Okay, number 4. A very common way of studying is using highlighters to underline or to highlight the most important things in a paragraph or in a whole text. I used to do that a lot, and honestly, looking back, it was kind of a waste of time. So I guess if you do it in order to get a general idea of what the text is about and then take your own notes out of that, that works. But studies have shown that highlighting is actually confusing to your brain. It doesn't help you learn. It confuses the brain in the sense that it doesn't know what's important, what's not, or it takes certain sentences out of context and then it just doesn't make sense. So what I used to do was I would highlight a word or a sentence for me to use as a guide, and then from that word take the whole information and then maybe even take my own notes or make a summary of what that page or that paper or chapter was about, or maybe even make like networks and link, you know, a word to the other. There's a lot of things that work for certain people and don't work for other people. So you have your methods, but know that just highlighting will not help you. So a much better and more efficient way of learning instead of highlighting is using flashcards, because your brain starts connecting the right question with the right answer, and that helps you learn way more efficiently. Another tip that I would like to give you is to have a specific goal per study session. Know what you want to get out of the study session every time you sit down to study. If it's a certain topic, break it down. Maybe, okay, do 20 exercises of this math problem, or do 20 pages of this topic that I'm reading about. So have a specific goal, and that will give you the direction that you need in order to get to the final line. Another one of my favorite tips is to retell the story. Poor mom. I used to use my mom to tell her all about the insertions of muscles or the trajectory of a certain artery or nerve in the body when I was studying anatomy, and honestly that helps so much, especially if your tests are oral instead of written. That will help you so much. And also teaching what you're trying to learn helps you learn it even faster, more efficiently and better. So try that. Get together, have study groups and converse. Have a conversation with your classmates about the topic that you're trying to learn, or have someone that has nothing to do with your school or has nothing to do with your classes, and just tell them about this topic that you're learning, and that will give you a sense of how well you've learned the topic, or how much more you need to sit down and revise it and go over it a few more times in order to deeply learn it or properly learn it. So try it. It's really fun. It puts you on the spot in a good way, and also it gives you accountability. Tell your friend or your family member that on Monday you're going to meet with them to tell them about this topic, and believe me, you'll have to study it, because they're not going to show up saying, hey, you know what, I couldn't finish learning it. No, you're going to achieve your goal. So that's a great way of having accountability, having the ability to explain what you're learning, which is how you actually know what you've studied. And it just works. Like, it really worked for me and I love doing it. So give it a try. Similarly, do practice tests. This could be oral, just as telling what you've been studying to a friend, or written. When I was in university, we had a way, I don't know how legal that was, but honestly, there was a shop near my school that sold old tests and old exams and old questions from previous years, and you know, for a small fee we had access to that, and it was really good. The questions were never the same, but they were similar, at least in the way that they were formulated, or in the way that gave me an idea of how much depth I needed in each subject or topic. So give it a try. I mean, internet, like, you can find questions, or even, I haven't looked, but probably YouTubers telling their stories about their exams or what they were asked. And I'm sure that you can find sample papers or sample exams tests that will give you the orientation of what's going to really happen the day of your test. So give that a try. It's absolutely great to as a tool to learn and to study specifically for a test, especially if you have a multiple choice type of test, which requires an extra skill and requires time management and, you know, like very focused attention. So try to find sample questions. And if your school is super low-key and you cannot find any sample questions for the life of you, then come up with your own. You know, like every time you're studying, think, oh, this would be a good question in a test. So write it down, and then once you're done studying, go to those questions and answer them and quiz yourself. That will help you so much. Another thing that's crucial at the time of sitting down and do your studying right is to be neat and organized. It doesn't matter how well you cope with messy situations or messy rooms, your brain likes order. So have a clear desk, have a clear goal, have a nice pen, have your folders or notebooks or whatever binder you're using ready and right there to go. No stains, nothing's dirty. I know that around finals your room gets messier and messier, and I've been there, I get it, but being organized and neat helps your brain relax and really be in the moment and be mindful in that space that it is your desk. So even if you don't have time to clean the whole thing, just clear your desk and make sure there's nothing throwing you off, and you can focus your whole attention to what you're studying. Also, it is very important that you get rid of all the distractions, and that's your phone. Mostly your phone. So phone silent or out of the room or in airplane mode. Putting your phone in airplane mode is a great hack. I used to do it all the time because I would get notifications from here and there, all these apps. It's just crazy, and it's so tempting to, like, honestly, whenever you're studying something that you're not that into, whatever takes your mind out of that is a good excuse. So avoid that. Put your phone away or put it in airplane mode if you need the alarm or something else, or the calculator, you're using your phone for some other function. Just make sure that you're not getting notifications and not getting calls or text messages. There are a few apps that help you with that, and they usually have a timer inbuilt, and they will not make your phone available for a certain amount of time. There's one that I forget the name, but it would have a little plant growing, and until it would grow for a certain amount of time, and you would study, and then if you were paying attention without touching your phone, by the time you were done studying, the plant would be fully grown. I forget exactly how it worked, but it was cute, you know, to make a game out of it, to keep it interesting. So I don't know, check it out. There's probably more apps out there. I'm talking about 5 years ago. So yeah, check them out and put your phone away. That will help a lot. And finally, as a master procrastinator, this is the most important tip, at least to me: plan ahead. It's so important to plan ahead. Do a breakdown of each topic per day, a countdown to the finals or to that test date. So important to plan ahead, so you get to avoid the all-nighters or the long hours, and you can stick to that step one that teaches you how to have shorter sessions that are way more efficient. So plan ahead, get a calendar, get reminders on your phone, make sure that you're getting all the studying done in time in order to reach that important date feeling rested and prepared. That's so important. Alright, so those are my 10 scientifically proven tips on how to study smarter instead of faster. So I hope it helps, and feel free to apply all those tips in your Spanish language journey. And I'll see you next Friday. Ciao, ciao.